Today we're talking about distraction. Hold on a sec, I need to take this. We're talking about distractions because they are far more important than just the simple annoyances of smartphone notifications. Distractions literally have the capability of pulling us away from our deepest values and becoming a roadblock to us living our very best life. Today we're going to look to a story of Jesus and two sisters, which will illustrate that the only way to conquer distraction is to put our focus on the deepest and most important things in our lives. Be sure to hang with me to the end of the video because I have a tool I want to give you to help you identify those deepest things and to help you take that first step to a life that conquers distraction. So before we can talk about the solution, we have to clearly identify the problem. And there are two different kinds of distractions that matter. First are external distractions. These are the things that come from outside us trying to push us and move our behavior. These things are generally obvious and we're aware of them. Things like billboards or notifications on our smartphones or advertisements on our television. These things are external distractions that call our attention and push us forward to either live a certain lifestyle or buy a certain thing. They're intended to change our behavior by capturing our time and attention. But there's another kind of distraction, the interior distraction, and these are far more tricky to identify. They're more subtle because they are distractions of our own creation. Ultimately, internal distractions come when we feel uncomfortable or we're not happy with a present moment or feeling. In those places, we often subconsciously create an excuse for us to do something else. Like when you should be finishing that paper, you go to the pantry and you grab a snack to eat. Or when you know you really should be calling the customer service people, instead you go on Instagram. These are examples of moments in which we choose something that's easier and more pleasurable to avoid something else which is more difficult and we'd rather not do. Distractions are dangerous, not just because they make us inefficient in our work or because we find ourselves losing time. Distractions are dangerous because they literally pull us away from the things that matter. In fact, it's inherent in the word. Distract comes from two words in Latin, which mean together to pull apart. So the idea is that when we are distracted, we're pulled away from more important things. We're pulled away from our values and the deeper things that drive our behavior. Distractions threaten to push us off path and to make us the kind of people who go from one thing to another with no purpose and no aim. The inherent challenge of distractions is that they become even more difficult to avoid as we become tired. In a world that is fast and busy, we find ourselves succumbing to the temptation to give our attention to things that don't matter to us. If we're going to live our best lives beyond distraction, we can't just rely upon avoiding all of the temptations that surround us. Rather, we must set our compass to something far more deep and meaningful, to recognize that if we live our lives to something that is irresistibly good, that we'll be pulled forward and away from these distractions that threaten to pull us from those very core values. To learn this very contemporary truth, we turn to a very ancient place, to a story of Jesus and two sisters. In this story, Jesus goes to visit these sisters and he's teaching in their home. The older sister, Martha, finds herself doing all of the work of hospitality, preparing the meal, the drink, and the younger sister, Mary, sits at the feet of Jesus, listening to his teaching. Understandably, the older sister is angered because she feels that she is being unfairly treated, and she says to Jesus, "Lord, don't you care that my sister has left me to do the work by myself? Tell her to help me." In that moment, Jesus replied and said, "Martha, Martha, you are worried and upset about many things, but few things are needed, or indeed only one. Mary has chosen what is better, and it will not be taken away from her." You see, there are two things that are powerful enough to pull us away from distraction, and they're connected. The first are those few things. those priorities, those values of life that stand above the rest. And let me tell you, as someone who has walked alongside those who have come to the end of life, it is never on our deathbed that we reflect back and think, I wish I had worked more. I wish I had more promotions. I wish I had gotten a better GPA in school. At the end of our life, we see that those few things that really matter are the things worth investing in. And yet, Jesus told Martha that there's really only one thing that matters. And I think we can hear in that Jesus is teaching is not just doing the right thing, but rather becoming the right person. We should all be called to sit at the feet of one who teaches us to become better. Humble, willing to recognize that we don't always get it right. In the midst of that moment, we discover a new invitation to live towards something bigger and grander than ourselves. Instead of avoiding the distractions that clamor for our attention, we can set our sights on the one thing that matters, and that is becoming the kind of people that we were called to be. The antidote to distraction isn't avoidance. It is being called irresistibly forward towards the purpose for which you were made. I'd love to hear from you in the comments. What is that one thing that's most important to you? What is deep enough and strong enough to be irresistibly attractive that it'll even pull you through the distractions of your life? If you found any part of this conversation insightful or inspiring, would you subscribe? It's a brand new channel. And if you would become a subscriber, you would help us continue these future conversations about the things that really matter, about our values, our priorities, about our relationships, and all of this through the lens of faith. Friends, this day, we seek to not only avoid distraction, but be drawn towards our greater purpose. In order to help you take that next step in your own personal journey, I have a free tool I want to make available to you. You find it linked in the description of this video. It's a journal template. And if you take some time to go through it, it will invite you to reflect upon what your deeper values are, to identify those distractions that are most common for you, and then give you that next step as you seek to live a life that goes beyond the distractions that surround us. Friends, I hope that you will take that next step and be drawn forward away from distraction towards your irresistible purpose. And I can't wait to see you next time on Deeper Things.